Fighting Tiger Talk Flash Report.
Louisiana Tech, they did a great job tonight. You got to run the football. We didn't run the football effectively tonight, and it made it difficult for us. We didn't make great decisions. Players got to make plays. Coaches got to coach better. You can tell by my voice I'm not happy with the performance, but it's a win. So you always have to, measure this by, the outcome in this instance was what we wanted. It's certainly not the way we wanted to get there. So we got a lot of work to do. And we'll get back to work on Monday and work to get better. So with that, I'll open up the questions.
Brian, how much do you think Raylan going down?
There's 5 guys on the O-line. I mean, putting it on Braylon is really minimizing the work that the other 4 guys are doing and the tight ends. We weren't good enough tonight in our schemes and executing the schemes that we needed to. Would we like to have Braylon in there? Sure, but we could easily have been as effective with a young man and DJ Chester, who started 13 games for us last year.
Coach, do you have injury updates on Braylon and trey'dez Green?
Yeah, one's an ankle, one's a knee. We'll get MRIs for both those guys tomorrow, and then we'll know a little bit more.
Questions?
That's it, huh? You guys saw what I saw.
Coach, last week, I'm sorry, I'm right here in the back. Last week, the post-game celebration, everybody's jumping up and down. This week, the guys are walking. It looks like a funeral. I guess that's what you want to see from your players, not excitement after a.
No, I'd rather see them excited and that they played so well. They know what happened out there. We didn't coach well enough, and we didn't play well enough tonight, and that's not our standard. And so they're disappointed. In that they didn't live up to that standard. They want to do it. They just didn't do it tonight. And so we got to go back and figure out what was in our preparation, what was in our mindset when we took the field for this game that we couldn't live up to that standard. And that's what they're trying to figure out right now. They're trying to figure, look, we knew this. We talked about it. We knew exactly what was going to happen, and it still happened to us. So that's really what you're seeing, and my job is to make it clear that it's not just them. We got to coach better. We got to put our kids in. We got good players. Our good players have got to make plays, no doubt, but we got to put them in a good position as well.
The positives in this game, the defense,
yes.
Barry and Brown.
Yeah, Barry and Brown got the game ball. Balled out. That's Barry and Brown, and that's what we expected from him. And I was so happy for him. He had some, in walkthrough, you could tell that he was ready. And now we got to make sure that gets to everybody, has the same amount of energy and confidence that they can go out there and play like that. And the defense, look, at the end of the day, our defense played pretty darn good. They limited him to how many yards rushing, Mike? You don't have that in the tip of your head? 58. I mean, that's a really good effort on the defensive part. That's a really good effort. We blew a coverage inexplicably. We cut a guy loose. But you're right. The bright spots would be, continue to play really good defense, individual efforts like a Barry and Brown, and I'm sure there's some others out there as well.
Was there a point in the game when you realized this wasn't going to be the intensity, whatever you were expecting?
I don't know that we lacked intensity. It was execution was not very good, and I'm gonna lean on this again. And I'm not just giving you, I'm telling you from my heart. We got to coach better. We got to put our kids in position. We got good players. We got to do better. We got to do better because they're good players, Now they got to go make some plays. We left some plays out there, but this is all us, right? This is coaches and players together. Did not have the kind of performance tonight that we expect from our coaches and players.
Coach, you've mentioned now a few times about the, I guess, for lack of a better word, poor coaching tonight. Well, what were some of those things that were sort of missing from the coaching standpoint then?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I've made it pretty clear that this game itself is not just about players. Coaches have to get their guys in the right mindset to get them to play at the highest level, to get them to execute the things necessary. And we just fell short of that tonight.
Brian, could you assess Garrett's quarterback play tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some things that he would wish that he had done better. Obviously, making good decisions relative to, whether you can leave the pocket and pick up some yardage. But, that's micro managing the situation. Again, he's part of everybody. I don't know that there's one guy that you pull out and say, well, that's the guy. He knows he's got to play better too. I got to coach better. He's got to play better.
Coach, the running game that you talked about, are you not getting the push? Is it just like one of the five that's off sometimes, or what are you seeing?
Add all of those to the list. It's individual mistakes, it's scheme mistakes, it's not seeing the right hole. It was, like I said, from a running game standpoint, a lack of execution by players and coaches alike. And so there's not just one thing. I mean, I got to watch the film, but I can tell you just by watching the game itself, a 3-3 stack is difficult. It's the first time we went against it. Okay, fine. At halftime, we saw enough for 3-3. Let's get going. And so that's players and coaches not getting it done to the way they should.
Did you plan on Xavion being such a big part of your rushing game this year, or is that just a new
Tonight
role?
he was featured a little bit more, and again, I'll go back to what we were trying to do is, we're trying to get the ball outside. I mean, it's a loaded box. It's a 3-3 box. There's a lot of movement in front in that box, and you're trying to get the ball out on the perimeter. So, you're looking at tonight, in particular, a night where you would feature him in that situation.
Coach over here, right here. Talking about the timing of just Garrett with a lot of new receivers transfer, guys like Barron, you talked about Nick, guys like that trying to work some of that timing down in the passing game. Well,
I mean, I thought Nick made a great catch on the Okie route early on in the game. We could have had a better ball here or there. Look, I think I'm not concerned about the timing of the receivers. I just want to make sure that we're better coaching them and we're better executing on their end.
Brian, I guess from an in-game adjustment standpoint, how difficult is it for the offensive line to make those adjustments against the defense that you maybe don't necessarily practice against a lot and have to try to figure those things out as the game's going?
Yeah, so, I mean, did we prepare them well enough? That's what the question that we'll have to ask. Did we give them enough looks? Did we give them the movement necessary? Did we do the things necessary? My sense is standing here in front of you that we didn't. But I got to look at the film. You got to give me a chance to go back and look at it and analyze it and find out why we had the struggles that we did. And I'll get a better answer for you when we see you on Monday.
Time for two more.
On the brighter side of things, kind of talk about Wes Weeks' impact tonight and last week and just his growth as a player.
Yeah, I mean, he's a really good player. He's smart. He's accountable. He's a really good leader. I think it's pretty well known how we feel about him, or he wouldn't be starting for us.
Last one, Colin. Brian, is this sentiment because you feel like the ceiling's very high for this team and you expect more out of them?
Of course. I mean, if I didn't think we had the players, I'd be in here giving you the Coach Kelly spin. I'd give you everything that I could come up with about how great we are. We got better players on this roster, and we got to coach them better, and they got to execute too. I mean, this is all in on everybody. This isn't just our coaches stink or our players stink. This is everybody collectively did not live up to the standard that we have set here. And you can only do that when you believe that you have more, and we have more, and that didn't show up tonight, and that's disappointing. Now, I need to get over it. I need to get ready for Florida, because they're going to come in, after what happened this past weekend, and they're going to play their absolute best football. But I told our guys that. They know that. So we'll get back to work on this on Monday. Thank you.
All right, shout out to the Tough Tiger Talk family, man. We up in this thing, Big Q representing the Tough Tiger Nation, man. And this one, number 3 LSU, they get the victory, but not very impressively. 23-7 over the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs, who are 1-1. LSU's 2-0. It's a very interesting game, to be honest with you. A lot of people kind of thought that this would go differently, man. And of course, I thought it would be a bigger blowout. Law Tech was able to sneak in a touchdown on the back end to prevent the blowout. But this should have been at least a 30-burger, in my opinion. But Law Tech, man, credit them, man. Law Tech has a SEC defense if they don't have any damn thing else. So that's what it is. Big ups to the fan. Appreciate y'all for being in the stream. Y'all hit the like button, man. But yeah, what's up, Ro? Shout out to True Louisiana, Ro. Appreciate y'all for being in the live. Much love to y'all, man. LSU Scooter, what's up, fam? Appreciate y'all as well. Listen, man, this is interesting because it is. I don't know what to say too much about this one, man. I mean, after seeing what LSU did in the second half, of course, we know the defense was there last week against Clemson. We know Brian Kelly went into the halftime during that period and just lit into LSU. They came out a different offense. They started to move the ball, catch the ball, block a little bit better. And they were able to kind of shut out Clemson and have a very big confidence building win, stopping the opening season losses. Open the season with a win, sets a tone on the season, then follow it up with a blowout against Louisiana Tech. Didn't happen that way. 23-7 in the game. Offense, what can I say? Not very, I don't know. We've seen some stuff happen here. If you look at LSU, supposed to be one of the top offenses in the country, with Garrett Nussmeier, some people putting him up there with some of the top quarterbacks in the country, a Heisman guy with all this kind of stuff. But in the end, it just not being able to push on the defensive line. You're an SEC established offense, especially from an offensive line standpoint, should be able to get the ball in the goal. We had to settle on the field goal against Law Tech there. That was very concerning. If I'm Brian Kelly, now, of course, if you're Brian Kelly and you go back and you study this film, fam, man, that Louisiana Tech defensive line was giving fits to LSU's team, that offensive line. They were running around pressuring Nussmeier. The ends, my goodness, man, they were getting beat thoroughly inside, and it was not a good day for them against no disrespect to Law Tech, but a far less talented team according to what we've been able to do here. It appears, but Law Tech defense, man, was very good against our offense. We just didn't seize the opportunities that we needed to kind of build a lead. Nonetheless, despite us wanting a 30-burger and us to see we thoroughly thrash Law Tech, they do come out of Death Valley with a win, and they improved to 2-0. Now, this is before, we got Florida rolling in coming up next week, but Florida lost to their people. So they're going to be they're going to be looking to kind of bounce back against LSU. So a lot of the stuff that we seen them struggle with in the first half of the Clemson game and in much of this game, and we know it's still early on, but a lot of these wrinkles have to be ironed out as we get into more difficult competition. If LSU sees itself as a national champion, and we do see, being this is Brian Kelly's 4th year, that the guy needs to step up, his team needs to step up and show what the hell they can do. Had the top transfer portals. You've seen Pie Burn in there. You've seen the other fellas rolling around. The Weeks brothers was doing a thing out there. Secondary was moving around. But the offensive line, my goodness, We have to do better. That our offensive line has to strengthen. They are not, if we could just switch out lines for what we had last year and put that line, I mean, this line here, man, they're just so inconsistent. But anyway, let's get into the stats, man, and kind of delve into it for the post game here. Man, what can I tell y'all, man? LSU 27-12 on the first down. They're 9 of 16 third down. The Law Tech was 3 of 13. Their offense was pathetic. Kukuk, who was their top quarterback, had 50 yards passing. So the defense for LSU showed up in both games against Clemson and in the Law Tech game. Offense has to catch up. If you look at the total yards there, 365 yards versus $154 by Law Tech. You look at the fact that, Garrett Nussmeier did throw an interception in the game. They did get a turnover, but our defense did not allow them to capitalize on that stuff. You look at the rushing attack, our rushing attack kind of got off the ground, but it was a lot of rushes, 34 rushing attempts for LSU, and they averaged just under 4 yards an attempt for 128 yards. The defense stopped Law Tech 58 yards on 27 carries, a little over 2 yards a carry. Very interesting. And of course, you see the passing stats right there by LSU going down into the penalties. A lot of penalties by LSU. Just the only thing was Law Tech had more. Law Tech had 12 penalties for 130 yards going backwards. LSU had 9 for 77. That's a lot. That's a lot of penalties against a far less superior team. That's a lot. They dominated the time of possession, 36-52 to 23-08 in the matchup. And like I said, they do get the victory, but it was one of those deals where you expected to beat Louisiana Tech and it should be at least a 30 burger. They allowed them to get a score, and that's what Law Tech wanted to do. They just wanted to just get something to show that you will not blank us. Garrett Nussmeier finished 26 of 41 for 237. He averaged almost 6 yards per throw. He had a touchdown as well as an interception. When you look at the rush stats, Harlem Berry got going. 6 carries, 56 yards. He had a really good scamper for 43 yards that really broke open his rushing. Prior to that, Xavier Thomas was the guy with the ball. He has the magic touch, 6 carries for 54 yards. Caden Durham just didn't get anything going there. 13 carries for 29 yards. They had to pull him out and start using other people, but he did have the touchdown. And of course, you look at the receiving stats for LSU. Baron Brown had 8 catches for 94 yards, 12 yards to catch. Aaron Anderson doing what he does, 9 for 73. Xavier Thomas, 4 for 35. 3 for Nick Anderson, who had 17 yards. He also had the only touchdown there for LSU. Xavier Thomas did have a couple of fumbles there in the game, and he had one he kind of botched on the kick return, or the punt return rather. Thanks to the stupid penalty by Law Tech, they would have stopped. Now, Wes Weeks had a really solid game, 10 total tackles. Keys was the second guy. Tamarcus Cooley, 5. Pyburn had 4 to go along with a half a sack. Wheat had a half a sack, so did Witt. So Wes Weeks, he had a half a sack, so did his brother. So those guys fly around making plays, man. Half a sack by Gilbert as well. And like I said, LSU's defense is definitely serious, man. Just to be honest with you, the defense is for real. We just need our offense to kind of catch up. Damian Ramos was 3 for 4 on the day. He finished there, and our punter 3 for 126 on the ground through the punt situation. And of course, like I said, nothing to talk about from Law Tech side. They tried to switch quarterbacks. Guy threw an interception to back up. They came in. They had zero offense in this game. They had 0 offense, but like I said, that Law Tech defense gave us a feel like it was almost a SEC defense, man. They were really rough and tough. You got to give them credit on that. But outside of that, man, we were expected to win, and we should have won big. You know what I'm saying? But it's LSU goes up, man. We go up here. And now what we have to do, fam, moving forward is we got the upcoming matchup against the Florida Gators. The Florida Gators lost. It was like one of the shock games here of the week, to be honest with you, fam. It was one of the shock games in the SEC that they ended up losing, as I'm going to show that on screen right here for the fam. South Carolina We're able to beat South Carolina State right now. They're at halftime with that particular score, 17-3. Mississippi State is losing to Arizona State right now, but Mississippi State does have the ball with 41 seconds remaining and is marching. So we'll see what they got going on right now. It shows. And just when I say that, Mississippi State just threw a touchdown, man. They had a touchdown that was kind of late getting it there, but Mississippi State was able to get a touchdown. It just highlighted there. So they jump ahead 24-20 on Arizona with 30 seconds remaining. Of course, a real interesting game. Oklahoma right now, 18th against Michigan. And y'all remember Underwood was the quarterback we were trying to get. He flipped at the last moment with Michigan. He getting it handed to him right now, 21-13, with less than 2 minutes there. And Oklahoma has the ball and are marching. They're on the Michigan 7-yard line. So can they get that done, man? We'll see. Michigan might lose to Oklahoma there. And then, of course, you see Alabama. Just this is what we were supposed to see for LSU, right? Alabama lost last week. They looked horrible. They came out and they eviscerated UL Monroe. That is what kind of score that the faithful was looking for LSU to do to La Tech, is what Alabama did to UL Monroe. They flattened them, right? 66-0. Of course, like I said, a win is a win in my book. It's just how you win, how you lose, whatever. But 23-7, you see it right there. Ohio State, another one, they just destroyed Grambling 70-0. Wow. You see the rest of the scores from the day. But yeah, Florida had one, man, where you see Texas get the win over San Jose State. When you playing teams like that, you're supposed to knock them off and you're supposed to beat them down pretty badly. Here's the matchup right here that we looking at here, which was also very interesting. And this is a team right here in Florida that got beat by South Florida, 18-16. It was a close battle, but in the end, guess what happens? Florida loses, and they are 1-1. And Florida been really a tough place, period, to play in terms of. And they went into Florida and did that to Florida, to the Gator Stadium, and knocked them people off. Major upset city. So when Florida comes a calling. With LSU coming up here next week, what that means, don't you? After that upset loss to USF, that could basically an unranked team that is going to really do damage. And I know it's early on, just the second week, but it's going to definitely hurt Florida. They're going to have to get on their stuff now after losing to South Florida. We'll see how it goes, but LSU has to take care of business, man. Next Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Going to be one of those grungy specials. As you can see, they got LSU on these stat that protected them to win. So 6:30 Saturday in Tiger Stadium at night under the lights is going down. And we got to keep this thing going, man. 2-0. Florida's going to be coming in here looking for some tough stuff. LSU has to get up off their ass, fix that offensive line issue so that we can handle business, man. That's no doubt about it. This has to happen. So anyway, like I said, man, very interesting game by our Tigers. It sucks that we were looking for the blowout. The offensive line has all kind of issues, man. They didn't provide a push. And Coach Kelly, you could see that shit. You could see Coach Kelly was kind of upset about how they were playing. And I don't know what to say about that, man, with LSU's, that line issue. They have to do something better than that, bro. For real. We got to fix that, man. We definitely got to fix that. We cannot have that happening going into the season, because you will get it handed to you come Florida and all these other teams, a stiffer competition roll in here. LSU got to handle that business. So anyway, man, listen, man, man, what do you guys think about what happened tonight? Throw it in the comments section, man. I just feel like LSU at this point in time, man, it's just we're 2-0. We're not perfect. So I'm not one of those guys to be like, okay, yeah, we doing this, that, and the third, just relax. Shit is just 2 weeks in. The defense does look, it's ahead of the offense. The offense is, from a wide receiver and skill position, are doing good. Nussmeier, he was all right, with 38 attempts. He did, listen, Nussmeier, looking for things and plays and things to make moves, kind of scrambling around, taking unnecessary hits. The stupid ass thing, he took the sack for whatever reason. You outside the box, just throw the damn ball away, bro. Throw the ball away. Do not eat a sack when you don't have to. You had plenty of time. Just being better and smarter with stuff like that. Every now and again, you'll see Nussmeier have that brain fart where, he's like, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? You're overthinking it. Just get the ball out, protect yourself, and also don't eat any yardage that force us to have a long ass field goal. We had to kick a 48-yard field goal because of that nonsense. Make smarter decisions. Just get the ball out quicker. The offensive line definitely has to do a better job in protection. You can see that they had struggling in terms of picking up stunt action, which Florida is going to study that tape and do and mimic that, by the way. And Florida has better pass rushers than what we've seen from LSU Tech. So that's something that they're going to have to deal with, man. They're going to have to fix that, man, and do a better job coming up against Florida, man. That's the bottom line, man. So it's going to be interesting, man. But yeah, nonetheless, yes. Yeah, that's right. Rose says Moore got hurt. The O-line looked like yes, like Caesar Salad Ruiz. Yes, indeed. But like I said, fam, I still feel like this is they're not looking offensively. They're not looking as crisp as they supposed to look. But it's still a work in progress. And listen, they're winning while they're learning, and that's something that you can't ask too much for. They were supposed to dominate this team. They still won the game. There's some stuff that they got to iron out and fix. But I do think they have the intelligence, the wherewithal, and the talent to be able to iron out the wrinkles and be more of a defined project, right? A defined team moving forward. I'm not a doomsday naysayer type cat with this because they're winning. They're supposed to beat them all bad, yes, indeed, but they're still winning the goddamn games. They're 2-0. So at the end of the day, hey, bro, we're 2-0. We're getting ready for Florida in Death Valley coming up. We're going to see how that all works out, right? All right. Get ready to get out of here, man. Listen, I'm going to be back later Monday with more of a thorough breakdown. We'll hear from Coach Kelly, what he had to say, in his Monday streams. We always talk about what he's going to do. Of course, we'll have everything posted here on Tough Tiger Talk, and we'll go over and cover the waterfront. We'll get ready for the Florida matchup, and we'll look at and break down in more thorough the LSU's things they have to fix on, things that are positives. Defense off the chain. They do a really good job swarming the ball. Decent special teams play. We did get some injuries in this game. We'll get a thorough breakdown on Coach Kelly coming up on Monday. And then, of course, we look at the other stuff on the offensive side of the ball, starting with the offensive line. We have to be more consistent and protections, be more decisive and get the ball out. And we'll see what happened with Green. Green kind of was dinged up. Bauer, Sharp is not looking as sharp as we would want him to look. The tight end position is also kind of, I got my eye on that situation. I thought the tight ends would be a little bit better, but we'll see how they go. It's still early on in the season, so a lot to look at. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to get out on here. I appreciate you guys for chiming in. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'm going to holler at you later on. Much love, peace, and go Tiger.